By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Welcome to another episode of Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school magic. And also welcome back in Vienna for Viennageddon. We have reached the finals of this tournament. We started with 47 wizards and now only 2 of those wizards remain. We've got defending champion Oliver on the left and we've got Italian player Stefano on the right. And Oliver is playing his Atog deck and Stefano is bringing a Lion Dib Bolt deck to the table. So 2 very strong and aggressive tier 1 decks going face to face here today to find out who's going to be the champion of Viennageddon 2025. Now, before I start with the decks, because I've got lovely deck photos of both of these decks, first a message from the sponsor of this video, 3for1 Trading. 3for1 Trading is one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. Their online shop has a fantastic selection of high-end Magic cards, especially for vintage, legacy, and yes, old school Magic players. They now exclusively offer my community free, fully insured and fast worldwide shipping on all their high-end singles, full sets, and out-of-print sealed products. They upload new cards every Wednesday and have weekly sale offers and reductions waiting just for you. Use my code TIMMY to get free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. Have fun ordering those cards and thank you 3for1 Trading for sponsoring this video. And we are back and ready to dive into the deck techs, and I'm going to start with the deck of the player on the left, that is Oliver. Let's take a look at his Atogs. And here we see the deck of Oliver. So Oliver is playing Atogs today, right? He's playing a 3-colored Atog deck. So Atog, a card from Antiquity, 1 red and 1, a 1/2 creature, second artifact, and this creature gains +2/+2 until end of turn. So obviously, if you have 4 Atogs, you're also going to play with a lot of artifacts. So we're seeing all the Moxen in this deck. We're seeing a full playset of Black Vice. We're seeing Ankh of Mishra, 3 in total, I believe. We're seeing Black Lotus, Chaos Orb, Suchi, and a Soul Ring. So those are all the artifacts in the deck. And what I'm liking about the choices that Oliver has made here with the artifacts is that he's playing with a lot of artifacts that are really good at certain stages in the game, but can also be kind of useless. And when they're useless, you could always feed them to the Atog and pump the Atog with it. So you always get value out of your artifacts. Now let me explain what I mean by that. So you've got, for example, the Moxen, super strong card, fantastic magic card. But especially really good at the early stage of the game because it's tempo, right? They're going to get you ahead on tempo. But later in the game, when you're, for example, in top decking mode, they're not that exciting anymore. But the cool thing is you can then sack them to your Atog and still get value out of them. The same thing can be said for the Black Vice. Black Vice, of course, really good when your opponent has a lot of cards in hand. But maybe later in the game, when he or she has emptied the hand, it's not that good anymore. And then you can sack the Vice again to your Atog, get value. Same thing can be said for the Ankh of Mishra, right? Ankh is going to punish your opponent and yourself actually for playing out lands. When you play a land, you take 2 damage. Later in the game, when your opponent maybe has all the lands on the table already, it's not that strong anymore. Again, you can sack it to the Atog and still get value. What I really like, by the way, is this combination of Vice and Ankh of Mishra. It's very old school. I remember when I was a young Timmy, I believe I already saw that combo as well. Vice, of course, a card that says at the beginning of the chosen player's upkeep, so it's going to be your opponent probably, this artifact deals X damage to that player, where X is the number of cards in their hand minus 4. So if you've got 7 cards in hand, subtract 4, you take 3 points of damage, right? So when you also have an Ankh out, Ankh of Mishra says whenever you play out a land, you take 2 damage. You're kind of in a catch-22 because you want to empty your hand because you don't want to take damage from the Vice. In order to empty your hand, you've got to play lands because then you can play spells. But if you play lands, you take damage from the Ankh. So whatever you do, you take damage. And that's, of course, what Oliver wants with his deck. His deck hurts, right? His deck really hurts. He also plays with 3 Psionic Blasts, with 4 Lightning Bolts. It's pretty aggressive. He's playing with 3 Surrender Perfreets, a very aggressive creature as well, maybe the most aggressive creature in the game. So yeah, you're just seeing a lot of violence here in the deck of Oliver. And then there are also some white cards, 4 white cards in total. He's playing with the Armageddon. You can see it's all scribbled, fully scribbled with autographs on there. That's because it's the prize card of last year. So he's playing with that. Armageddon, a sorcery, 1 white and 3, destroys all the lands in the game. So this can be really good with Ankh, of course, right? It's also nice. You've got your Ankh out, you destroy all the lands, and your opponent has to rebuild, but takes 2 damage for every land he or she plays out. And of course, in general, I think Armageddon is just good in most decks, because if you're ahead in the game, you drop your Armageddon, you time it right, that can really give you the victory. And then he's also playing with Balance. Balance is another card, kind of a no-brainer inclusion, really, really strong. And it gets even stronger if you're playing with a lot of non-creature artifacts. And that's exactly what Oliver does. And then we see the card that I think is the reason that most people splash in white, and that's Disenchant. Disenchant an instant, 1 white and 1, destroy target enchantment or artifact. And the fact that you can choose between enchantment or artifact makes this card so incredibly strong. Think about it. How often do you see Shatter? Yes, you see Shatter, but not that often. It's 1 red and 1, also an instant, but it only allows you to destroy an artifact and not an enchantment. And the fact that you can choose makes this card so strong. I mean, if we're looking at this deck of Oliver, for example, what if he runs into an Abyss? I mean, that could be quite lethal for his Surrender Befried and for his Atog. But if he's got the Disenchant, he can just, boom, disenchant it for 2 mana and move on with his life. You know, so Disenchant, incredibly strong. And then when we're looking at the sideboard, we're seeing red Elemental Blast and blue Elemental Blast. We're also seeing that in the sideboard of Stefano. So maybe after the first game, this can be a red Elemental Blast, blue Elemental Blast battle. That wouldn't surprise me. Talking about that, let's take a look at the deck of Stefano. And here we see the Lion Dib Bolt deck. So this deck is one of the more popular decks in old school at the moment. And I mean, I guess it's because it's like super aggressive, but it's also kind of controlling in the same way. And it's a very strong list as well. So maybe just, you know, look at this list. So he's playing 4 Savannah Lions, 4 Surrender Befried. So those are his creatures, right? And then, of course, Mishra's Factories as well, that both players are playing a full playset of. That's kind of no-brainer inclusion. You know, so turn 1, you want to drop your Lion. Turn 2, maybe you want to keep counter magic up, whatever. Turn 3, you've got the choice to or play your Surrender Befried or go more controlling and again keep that counter magic up and start to play burn spells on end step, right? Because you've got 4 Psionic Blasts, you've got 4 Lightning Bolts, also 4 Chain Lightnings, but they're sorcery speed. So this is also a 12 bolt deck, right? So you've got your aggressive creatures, you've got your burn. This deck can win very, very quickly. You can just burn, attack, attack, attack. You know, and just maybe keep a counter spell open just to be on the safe side. He's playing with a mana drain and with 3 counter spells, right? Not 4 yet. 3 counter spells and a mana drain. And then he's also playing with Black Vices as well. So this is a super aggressive deck. I think in a deck like this, your Vice kind of feels as extra bolts. Because if you're on the play and you drop your Vice turn 1, you pass turn to your opponent will most likely take 3 points of damage, right? So that's already a free bolt. And then in your deck, you've got 8 more bolts, right? You've got 4 chains and 4 lightning bolts. And then, of course, the Psionic Blasts also. And he's also playing with the Time Twister. I don't see... Oh, and a Wheel. Yeah, there is the Wheel of Fortune there. For a moment there, I thought there's no Wheel of Fortune. So he's playing Wheel of Fortune and Time Twister, which again is really good with Black Vices because it's going to refill the hand of your opponent, and then they take damage again. So, I mean, yeah, this is going to be really interesting. And now that I'm discussing this, we know that Oliver also plays with Wheel of Fortune and Time Twister. So we could see very quick and explosive games with a lot of draw 7 moments, which I love. I love draw 7 moments. So that could be quite exciting. Of course, we see all the blue power in here, by the way. We don't see all the Moxen. We only see the on-color Moxen and the Black Lotus. So we're not seeing the Mox Jet or the Mox Emerald in here, the green one. What I do want to note here, which I like, Stefano, is you're not playing the Black Splash. And I like that. I mean, so many players, for obvious reasons, are going to splash in their Mind Twist, are going to splash in their Demonic Tutor. But personally, I like it. I'm the biggest fan, I guess, of 2-color decks. And I think that's because when I started playing in Revised, you would try to collect the 4 dual lands. And if you would have 4 dual lands together, which wasn't easy at all. But if you would automatically build a 2-color deck. And so you would see a lot of 2-color decks back in the day, you know, in the meta. So I guess that's why I like it. I like decks that kind of stay close to their color identity. I think a deck that splashes a lot of different colors is really good, of course. But it just doesn't have any identity. So I like it that you didn't play with the usual Black Splash. You know, I kind of like this more. That being said, maybe it would be even better with the Black Splash. I don't know. What I also like is that single basic planes to kind of protect you from a Blood Moon. I think that's quite good as well. And we see an extra basic planes in the sideboard also. So you could board that in again to protect you from a Blood Moon. We also see some artifact hate in the side in the form of 2 Divine Offerings and a Disenchant. I think those could come in handy because Oliver is playing pretty artifact heavy with his Atog deck. I think the Swords to Plowshares in the side, you could consider boarding those in. I do think it's a good decision not to play them main because you're playing a 12-bolt strategy. You're super aggressive and you don't want to give your opponent life. But yeah, I wonder if he's going to board those in. And then, of course, we've got the red Elemental Blasts and blue Elemental Blasts. And like I already said during the deck tech of Oliver, we could be in for a blue blast, red blast battle. I think the hardest thing for Stefano this match could be sideboarding. Not even the game itself, but sideboarding. What choices are you going to make? What are you going to board in? What are you going to board out? Because if you want to board in all those very good sideboard cards, because almost this entire sideboard almost is useful against Oliver. The problem is, the more you're going to board out, the more you're going to go away from your A plan. Your A plan is having a quick match, play a lot of burn. Do you really want to take out cards, and play a more controlling game? That's the question. And I'm not sure if you want to do that against Oliver. I think you want to stay very aggressive. So sideboarding is going to be quite tough. Maybe he's even going to board out the counter spells, for example, for those red blasts and blue blasts. But anyway, this is the list here of Stefano. We looked at the list of Oliver. I mean, these are two top tier decks. I'm not surprised at all to see these two decks in the finals. Who's going to win? I honestly have no idea. Both of these decks could really win it here today at Viennageddon 25. Let's go to the finals. Game number 1, here we go. So we've got Stefano on the right. He's playing a Lion Dib Bolt, and I believe he's on the play. On the left, we've got Oliver, who is playing Atog's 3-colored Atog deck. Look at this, Stefano starting with a Vice. This is what you want to do in life if you're Stefano. That's a free lightning bolt. So Oliver going to drop here to 17, finding an Atog there at the top. And I guess if you're Oliver now, you just want to empty your hand. Let's see if he can do that. Starting with a Duel and a Mox. Okay. Tapping both. Has Atogs in hand. Also Ankh of Mishra and a Black Vice. Has a lot of options here. Going to tap 2. What are we going to see? We're going to see an Atog and passes the turn. So just 5 cards left for Oliver. So quite successful here in emptying his hand. And Stefano, of course, has to untap the Duel. Exactly. Let's see what he can do. Is that a strip? Also has a Savannah Lines in hand, I believe. Yeah, that's a strip. So could consider stripping the Duel land here of Oliver, slowing him down. And Oliver has no more lands in hand, I believe. So yeah, I think this is a very good decision by Stefano, taking out the Plateau, playing out the Savannah Lines, passes the turn. And look at this, Oliver not finding any lands, not finding any Moxen. Does have, of course, that Vice in hand still that he can play out. So he's going to tap 1. Asking about the amount of cards in hand here for Stefano. Stefano, I believe, only 4 cards left. So Vice being played out. Of course, still has to take a damage, I believe, from the Vice of Stefano. So Oliver now on 16. There's the pass. So I wonder if Stefano's going to attack now, forcing Oliver to or block and sack an artifact, or, of course, trade the Atog for the Lion or take the damage. That could be an interesting moment in the game. Stefano also has a Bolt in hand. So if he has a red source, he could go, play out the red source. Oh, look at this, Stefano not finding any mana sources. Oh, that is unfortunate for Stefano. And Oliver now finding a Duel land from the top. This is very important for Oliver, this draw here of that volcanic island. Because that means he can play a land, then he can play out an Atog. He's got a lot of options. First going to attack here. Stefano taking the damage, dropping to 19. There we see the Duel, and there's another Atog. Yeah, Oliver really needed that land, found that land, and I think if you're Stefano, you really want to have a Duel now, preferably a volcanic island as well. You want to be able to fire off that lightning bolt in hand. Yeah, first take the damage, of course, from the Vice. Going to drop to 18. A Brain Geyser. That is not what you want in life. That's really bad here for Stefano. Really needed a mana source. That's unfortunate for him, because he's going to take more damage from the Vice, and he is unable to do anything against the Atogs of Oliver. So Oliver drawing card 5, I believe, so not taking any damage from the Vice. There's an Ankh, there's the attack. Oh man, and now it's looking quite bad for Stefano. So Stefano had that strong opener with Vice, with Line, with Strip, but now things are looking bad here for the Italian player in the finals. Remember, it's just the first game though, but he really needs a red source now in his next draw. Going to drop to 14 from the Vice of Oliver. Going to draw a card for turn. Let's see what he gets. Okay, that's another Duel. At least it's a land, but the Ankh is on board as well, right? So if he plays it out, he's going to take 2 damage, drop to 12. I do think he kind of has to, but it's unfortunate that it's another Tundra. You would have really preferred to see a red source so you can finally use that Bolt in hand. Yeah, going to play it out here. Going to drop to 12. What can he do with these 2 lands? Can he play something out? That is the big question. Okay, it does have a disenchant there, so he could decide to disenchant one of the artifacts. Are you then going to go for the Ankh or for the Vice? He's going to go for the Vice here. 5 cards left in hand for Stefano and passes the turn. I wonder if I wouldn't have gone for the Ankh. Not sure if that's a better decision, but it's kind of hard to decide what's better to destroy with the Disenchant, the Vice or the Ankh. And now Oliver looking at his hand. Attacking here. 2 Atogs into the red zone. Are we going to see a block here by Stefano? Still on 12. Could decide to just take the damage. So I wonder what he's going to do here. A little bit in the tank. I mean, if you block the Silver Lining, exactly, then let's see if Oliver wants to sack an artifact. Nope. Didn't really need a second to think about it. It's like, okay, I'll trade. Has another Atog in hand, so that explains it. So also Stefano, of course, taking a damage here from the Atog. Yeah, doesn't have to take damage anymore from the Vice. Vice is gone. But yeah, Oliver kind of knew, you know what? I can trade Atog for Lion because I've got another Atog in hand. Okay, so there's a mana source. Again, not a red one, but it's something. He's got a Surrender Befreed in hand, I believe, that he can now play out. So Mox Pearl now on the battlefield. I guess you kind of have to play out that Surrender Befreed, right? You need a blocker. Or does he have other options in his hand? I don't think so. I mean, you don't want to play a Brain Geyser for 1. Maybe he's got a Psionic Blast, I'm not sure. That could be a consideration as well. And I guess after the first game, you could even consider boarding out your Psionic Blast, because you really don't want to hurt yourself when you're playing against Oliver, and maybe then you can just board in some Swords to Plowshares. Anyway, here we see the Surrender Befreed, 3/4 flying creature from Arabian Nights. This is the copy from Revised. And this is going to be an interesting moment in the game, right? I mean, Oliver's probably going to put the Atogs into the red zone, but is he then going to use his Bolt to maybe trade an Atog and a Bolt for a Surrender? Is he going to feed artifacts? Is he maybe going to be super aggressive and just, you know, put all the artifacts into the second to the untapped Atog? That's another option. So you can see Oliver really counting here, thinking, what are my options? He's got 1 blocker. I can give 1 Atog +6/+6. Looks like he's first going to do something else. Does have a Disenchant in hand as well, so could decide to, for example, disenchant the Mox Pearl here. To try to keep Stefano's mana base as small as possible. And Stefano does have a Psionic Blast in hand there, by the way. It looks like we're going to see a Disenchant. And yeah, it's a Disenchant here on the Mox Pearl. And then he's going to put both Atogs into the red zone. This is going to be an important moment. And look at this. He's sacking everything to the unblocked Atog and dealing 3 damage, I guess, to the dome with the Bolt. Yeah, that's going to put Stefano on 1. Wow, Stefano's going to die to his own Surrender Befreed here, I think. Oh, man. Untap, upkeep. You don't even draw. You're going to die before you draw. Exactly. So this first game won by Oliver, and now both players are going to dive into their sideboards, and we will catch back up with them in game number 2. Game number 2 here is about to start with, of course, Stefano on the play. Let's first see if both players are going to keep their hands. And Stefano does have to reset the dice again. Of course, he's not on 1 life. He's on 20. And both players here looking at their hands, trying to decide, do they want to keep? And especially Stefano here really in the tank. We see Oliver saying, I'm going to keep it. And there we see a Factory and a pass. We see Ancestral Recall in hand there for Oliver, by the way. Does he have a blue source? I think there's a City of Brass in there as well. Also has a Plateau, some red Elemental Blasts. So starting off with a Volcanic Island here. There's an Ancestral Recall in the upkeep of Stefano. So he's going to draw 3 cards. So a great start for Oliver. And this is going to be tough for Stefano. Stefano, of course, already a game down. Has to win this. If he wants to win the title here. Win the championship of Viennageddon 2025. Look at that, going very aggressive. Another Factory, attacking for 2. So going to put Oliver here on 18. There we see some Mox in here being dropped by Oliver and a Soul Ring. And look at this. What a turn 2. Insane, insane. Oh, this is going to be so tough here for Stefano. I mean, this is quite the start here for Oliver with that Ancestral Recall and then kind of dumping his hand. He is on 18, by the way, Oliver, not on 20. So hopefully he'll change the dice. He's keeping the score on his own notepad there, but hopefully he'll also keep track with the dice so we can keep an eye on the live totals. Here we see a Tundra being played out by Stefano. And I believe I saw Swords to Plowshares in hand on the side of Stefano. Not 100% sure though. If he has, then that would mean that he boarded them in. He's got 4 in the sideboard. He's not playing any of them main. Could also go here, of course, for a Serendip Efreet to block the Serendip of Oliver. That could be another line. Oliver, of course, has red Elemental Blasts in hand. And you can see Stefano there in the tank. What to do here against this Serendip Efreet. It decides to pass turn. That means Oliver's going to take another damage. Ah, thank you, Oliver. So he's on 17 now, I believe. Exactly. Going to draw for turn. There's a Swords to Plowshares for Oliver as well. So lots of answers for both players. There's the attack. There we see a Psionic Blast. But there's a red Elemental Blast countering the Psionic Blast. So that means 3 points of damage here for Stefano. He's going to drop to 17. And are we going to see more pressure? Yes, we are. There's an Atog hitting the board. And the Atog has a lot of food there on the table. 2 Moxen and a Soul Ring. I have to say, things are not looking great here for Stefano. The only good thing for him is that Oliver only has 3 cards left in hand. Stefano does have another Swords, I believe. Going to tap 3. There we see a Serendip Efreet here on the side of Stefano as well, and a pass. Another damage here taken by Oliver from his own Serendip. Going to drop to 16. Draw for turn. Oliver having lots of answers here. Exactly going to fire off the Swords to Plowshares. Going to destroy the Serendip Efreet of Stefano. Stefano goes back up to 20. Now Stefano also has a Swords to Plowshare. So I wonder if he's going to fire it off. He's a little bit in the tank here thinking, am I going to use that Swords or not? I guess the answer is no. He's going to take the damage. He's going to drop to 16. Untap, upkeep, and draw. Has now, of course, the ability to swing in for 4 with his Mishra's Factories. First going to play out a land, a basic plains. Also has a Savannah Lions in hand. Going to tap the basic plains. Makes more sense. Is he going to play out a Savannah Lions? I kind of like the Lions as a blocker for the Atog, because you put Oliver in an annoying position, right, where he has to choose, do I really want a second artifact to keep my Atog around? So I think Savannah Lion in this matchup can be quite useful as a blocker. Stefano really in the tanker, taking his time, which is understandable. This is the finals. And this is a key game for Stefano. Already lost the first one. Has to win it here. Attacking for 2. He can pump it. He's going to deal 3 points of damage. He's going to put Oliver on 13. There we see a Savannah Lions keeping the one wide open for that potential Swords to Plowshares passing the turn. Exactly. And I believe he's going to drop even more. He should be on 12, if I'm correct. Exactly. He's on 12. See an Ankh of Mishra there being drawn by Oliver. So Ankh here at least is food for the Atog. And this is a scenario that I talked a little bit about in the deck decks, where I said, you know, there are some artifacts that kind of lose their power later in the game. I think Ankh is one of those, but you can always feed it to the Atog, so it still has value. So I'm expecting Oliver here to just attack with both. Who is actually going to keep it as a blocker. You're going to keep the Atog as a blocker, attack for 3. And we don't see a Swords to Plowshares here by Stefano. Stefano's like, I want to use my swords perhaps offensively so I can attack next turn with everything. And if you're going to block with Atog in response to an artifact sack, for example, I can use my Swords to Plowshares. That could be a line low I found from the top here, by the way. Not very useful at this stage, especially with that Ankh on board. And I believe he's got a Savannah Lions, a Swords to Plowshares, Library of Alexandria, and then a red card. I'm not quite sure what that red card is. I would definitely keep this Loa in hand. You don't think it's worth the 2 points of damage? One of the things that Stefano can do here is, again, just attack only with the Mishra's Factory. And then just see what Oliver's going to do. He's going to animate and just attack with the 1. Exactly. Blockers are declared. Now he doesn't have to fire off the sword yet. He can just wait for Oliver. If Oliver's going to sack an artifact to it. And if he doesn't, fine, it's going to die. But if he does... So look at that. He's going to sack the Mox Sapphire. So I wonder if he's now going to fire off the Swords to Plowshares. I would be tempted to be honest. You want to keep... Exactly. On one side, you don't want to give Oliver life. On the other side, you don't want to lose your Mishra's Factory. Yeah, I think this is a good decision. So just 1 life gained for Oliver. He's going to go back up to 13. And of course, he's going to lose that life again next turn to the Serendip. And now he can play out, if he wants to, another Savannah Alliance. Exactly. Going to put some more pressure on, kind of forcing Oliver to use the Serendip Efreet as a blocker. So he's on 12 now. We do see a Lightning Bolt, I believe, drawn there for Oliver. So that's going to help him a little bit. Next turn is going to be interesting for Stefano, right? And I really wonder what that 1 red card is in the hand of Stefano. Of course, Stefano doesn't have any red sources, by the way, so cannot play it out. There's the pass, untap, upkeep and draw. 13 life for Stefano, 12 life for Oliver. And Oliver having 2 cards in hand, a red Elemental Blast and a Lightning Bolt. And with Stefano, he found, look at that, he found a Serendip Efreet. That is an interesting card. I mean, if Stefano can find a way to get rid of that Serendip Efreet, then he's really in a good position. So he is going to play out this Serendip Efreet at the moment. 3/4 flyer, passing the turn. So he has a Library of Alexandria left in hand and another card. Passes the turn back to Oliver. Oliver dropping to 11. Oh, and that's not a Lightning Bolt in hand. It's a Volcanic Island. So he has a Volcanic Island. And now an Atog found from the top. So a Volcanic and a red Elemental Blast in hand. Not a Lightning Bolt. Pretty important difference. And there we see Stefano also taking a damage from the Serendip he just played out. And again, I really wonder what he's found there. Flicking the cards, trying to come up with something. I think that 1 red card looks like a Lightning Bolt. Hard to see though. But of course, he cannot play out any red spells because he doesn't have access to mountains. He has found another Savannah Alliance. And yeah, the Savannah Alliance as attackers are just not great here because of that Serendip Efreet. 3 cards in hand here for Stefano. 2 cards in hand for Oliver. It says Stefano's turn. Really in the tank here. He's on 12, Oliver on 11. Stefano, of course, 1 game down, losing the first game here in the finals of Viennageddon. So yeah, Stefano thinking it over. Ooh, look at this. It looks like he is going to put everything in the red zone. Wow, super aggressive. He's going to attack with everything here. 2 Savannah Lions, Serendip Efreet, and 2 Mishra's Factories. I'm not sure if this is going to work out, but I love it. We do see a response here, a red Elemental Blast on the Serendip Efreet. And then he's going to try to kill the Mishra's Factories. Exactly, going to feed the Mox to it. Ooh, this could end up being disastrous for Stefano. Losing 3 creatures here, 4 damage dealt to Oliver. So Oliver dropping to 7. There's another Savannah Lines. And now Oliver's taking another damage. He's on 6. Just to clarify, he's not on 11, but he's on 6. Exactly. Thank you, Stefano. So 6 for Oliver here. And now the City of Brasses are not looking so great for Oliver. 2 cards in hand for him. He's got a Mishra's Factory there, and I believe a red card as well. He is counting. That's always dangerous. If you see Oliver counting like this, remember in game 1 that led to him winning that same turn. Yeah, he's going to sack. He's going to attack here, it seems, with a 3/4 Atog. think if I'm Stefano, I would just take this damage. It's risky. Ooh, he's attacking with both. Then I feel you have to block the Atog. Attacking with both. Ooh, that is a problem. So that would mean 6 points of damage. Potentially 2 more points if he sacks the Soul Ring. I think you kind of have to block the Atog here. Or is Oliver just bluffing? Doesn't he have any damage? And actually he doesn't. He has a Mishra's Factory and a Volcanic in hand here. So Oliver is kind of counting on Stefano to make the block here. And he is making the block. So he is making the block, which is understandable. But this was a nice bluff move by Oliver. Kind of playing poker here. Because if he would have taken the damage, then again he would have attacked with 3-2 once. He wouldn't have won the game. So I guess this is a good block actually. And now he has found, exactly, he's found a Volcanic. That means he's got access to that Lightning Bolt, if it is a Lightning Bolt. He's going to tap, one's going to play a Lightning Bolt. Going to put him on 3, I believe. Then he can attack with both Lions, exactly. He will have to block one of them. Exactly, so he's going to change, he's going to go to 1, he's going to pass turn, and then of course Oliver's going to die to his own Surrender Befried. That's the same ending as the last game, exactly. Oliver, you're going to 1, then it's his turn, untap, upkeep, take the damage from the Surrender Befried and die, just like Stefano died in game 1. So game 1 and 2 kind of ended up in the same fashion, but with different winners. The score is now 1-1, and that means we're going to go to an all-deciding game number 3. Game number 3 here about to start, and I believe that Oliver here took a mulligan, so a little bit in the tank about what card to put on the bottom. And Stefano also took a mulligan, by the way, starting with 6, so both players on 6, pretty fair. Interesting hand there for Oliver, by the way. He is on the play, of course, starting with a Mox Ruby into a Soul Ring. Can play now City of Brass, exactly. Oh, and play Time Walk. What an explosive turn 1. And remember, Oliver also has that Wheel of Fortune in hand. Is he going to drop a land? Oh, he can empty his hand here. And now he's probably going to play out the wheel, right? 3 damage dealt to Stefano. There's the Wheel of Fortune. This is insane. Oh, this is crazy stuff. What a start here for Oliver. And really nothing Stefano can do here. No. Don't shuffle them back in. Exactly. It's a Wheel of Fortune. Not a Time Twister. That's pretty important here. That's an important difference. And had a very aggressive opener here, Stefano, with that Black Lotus in hand. And Stefano is just shaking hand, congratulating Oliver on this very strong start of the match. Pretty insane. And we also see a Black Vice here for Oliver, so could now tap the City of Brass, take a damage, go to 18 and drop that Vice. That is pretty insane. What a start here for Oliver. Oh man, Stefano, what can you do? You have to take 3 more points of damage here from the Vice. You would drop to 14. Oliver on 18 here, just to clarify, because he tapped that City of Brass twice. Once to cast the Time Walk and now again to play the Vice. So it should be on 18 here. Passing the turn to Stefano. Stefano on 14 and just taking his first turn, ladies and gentlemen. So already 6 life down. Hasn't even done anything. Finally able to start his first turn. Draws a card. But what a start for Oliver. This is going to be so tough for Stefano to still win this third game. There's a Mox Pearl. There's a Mishra's Factory. Okay, there's a Ruby. Pretty explosive stuff here. But can he find a creature to put some pressure on Oliver's life total, or perhaps a Black Vice? Not finding any of those, passing the turn back to Oliver. Oliver finding a City of Brass from the top. I mean, could choose to go for Strip and Disenchant, attacking the mana base of Stefano. I mean, you have the Vice, right? Is playing out the Strip. Thinking about it, perhaps also has a Lightning Bolt in hand. Chooses to just pass the turn, though. It seems, at least or not. For a moment there, I thought that Oliver was passing the turn. Yeah, I guess he does. And then he's going to strip. I guess on upkeep then. And he's going to disenchant. So he is going to attack the mana base here. which I think is an understandable decision to make, also because you have the Black Vice on board. So Stefano here drawing his card for turn now, dropped to 13 because of the Vice. Is that a wheel for Stefano? Couldn't really see it that clearly. Now only has that one Mox Ruby, and hopefully, no, he cannot find a land or a Mox, passes the turn. Wow, this is so good for Oliver. Stefano now taking more damage, of course, from the Vice. Going to drop to 11, 2 points of damage for him. That means 6 in hand, 7 now after the draw. Really has to find mana sources. Found a Soul Ring there. Okay, that's something. That Soul Ring is pretty important. Now he has to hope that Oliver doesn't find another Disenchant. That will be pretty disastrous for him. We see a balance there found by Ollie. Not very useful at this stage in the game, so he just passes the turn here to Stefano. Stefano taking 2 more points of damage, dropping to 9. Draw a card for turn. Okay, that's another Mox. Good, that's helpful for Stefano here. It looks like he can battle his way back into this match. Does he have a Serendip or Freed there in hand? Then he can deploy the Serendip. There's the Serendip. Okay, that's something. Oliver does have Swords to Plowshares. And Stefano showing the amount of cards there in hand. I believe 5 cards left for Stefano. Now has that Serendip or Freed. He can start attacking. And Oliver here in a difficult position. And next turn, what to do with that Swords to Plowshares. Ooh, there's a Library of Alexandria. 6 cards in hand. Also tempting to go for the Loa play. And with that, I mean play out nothing. And try to get as close to 7 as you can. He's on 6 cards now. So that would take him 2 more turns of basically doing nothing and taking damage from the Serendip or Freed. I'm not sure if that's the best strategy, because then he would be on 12. Yeah, really thinking about playing out that Swords to Plowshares. Probably want to do that in the upkeep after Stefano has taken the damage. He's going to play out the Library of Alexandria, and he's going to use the Swords now in the main. I guess that makes sense because Stefano doesn't have the blue untapped to potentially counter the Swords to Plowshares away. I guess that's the main reason why Oliver is doing this in his own main instead of waiting for the upkeep of Stefano. So Stefano now back up to 12, finding more land. So Stefano is quite happy here with finding the mana from the top of his deck. Yeah, I believe he should have taken a damage, right? So he's gonna drop to 11. What can he do? Swords to Plowshares in hand there. Also Psionic Blast in hand. And of course, Oliver just doing nothing. Oliver's like, I'm just going to save up my cards. And here we see Stefano firing off Psionic Blast. Meaning that Oliver's going to drop here to 14. And he's doing that on end step, I assume. So he's now going to take his turn, draw for turn. How many cards in hand? 4 in hand, not taking any damage. Going to stay on 9. What is that card there? It's a blue one. Okay, it's a blue Elemental Blast. So he's got another Psionic Blast in hand, I believe. A blue Elemental Blast, a Wheel of Fortune, a Swords to Plowshares. Look at that, passing the turn to Oliver. So Oliver having 6 in hand now. Probably going to deploy that other Psionic Blast here on end step. So Stefano dropping to 7. Oliver dropping to 10. I believe he should be on 10, exactly, not lower than 10. Stefano not taking any damage again from the Vice. Going to draw his 5th card. Play another Mishra's Factory. I mean, Factory is good. Factory can put some pressure on the life of Oliver. The problem here for Stefano is that Oliver now has 7 in hand. Exactly. Going to start using the Library of Alexandria. And now things could get out of hand pretty quickly. Also has a Serendip or Freed there. So could play out the Serendip. Put some pressure on Stefano's life total. And remember, Stefano, of course, played out his Psionic Blasts to the life total of Oliver. And now he doesn't have a Psionic Blast to play on that Serendip or Freed. Does, of course, have a Swords to Plowshares. So it would make sense, I guess, to fire it off on end step exactly so that you can then attack with your Mishra's Factory. So destroying that Serendip does mean 3 more life for Oliver. He's going to go up to 13. And let's see what Stefano can do. Untap. Upkeep and draw. Finding another land. I mean, you know, okay, he's going to animate. I want to say like the Wheel of Fortune, if that's a wheel in hand, could be quite tempting as well to play out. There we see a Lightning Bolt. Could have deployed the Blue Elemental Blast to save the Mishra's Factory here, countering the Lightning Bolt. Decided not to. A little bit surprised. Perhaps he's keeping the Blue Elemental Blast for a better card. Maybe he wants to counter a Red Blast with it. White card found from the top, not quite sure which one. Looks like a Swords to Plowshares. 4 cards in hand for Stefano, passing the turn. Look at that, Oliver finding Ancestral Recall from the top. Yeah, and Oliver is now really the favorite at this point because he has the active Loa. It's got more life as well. It's got more cards. And he's got the only threat on the board. So it's looking very good for Oliver here. There's the animate. There's the attack for 2. There's a Swords to Plowshares. In response, an Ancestral Recall. So he's going to draw 3 cards here from the Ancestral Recall. And now the Mishra's Factory is going to die to that Swords to Plowshare. So that means Oliver's going to go back up to 15. Finding another one. Playing a Surrender Efreet here. And an Ankh of Mishra. Yeah. Wow, so many cards for Oliver here. This is really going to be a problem for Stefano. He's on 7 and yeah, this game could be over soon. And that would mean that Oliver is winning the finals here again for the 2nd time in a row. Would be quite an accomplishment. There's Stefano finding another land from the top. And I have to say, Stefano, at first it was nice you found all the mana sources, but now you're really finding too much. You're a little bit flooded here, which is very unfortunate. Yeah, a damage taken for Oliver from his own Serendip. And now Oliver can swing in for 5, can put Stefano on 2. He could also play the other Black Vice. He's got to draw 7 in hand as well. Exactly, going to go for the other Vice. I guess you would first attack and then maybe play the Time Twister. If he's got a Time Twister in hand, I'm not 100% sure. So he's going to attack here. Yeah, we're going to see a Swords to Plowshares. Okay, it's pretty important. He's going to Swords to Surrender Efreet. So that means 3 more life for Oliver. Going to go up to 17. 2 damage for Stefano. He's on 5. He's going to draw an extra card again from the Loa. Or are we going to see the Time Twister? No, we're not. Passes the turn. Perhaps it's not a Time Twister then. I think so. Time Twister could have given him the victory. Although it's a bit of a risk always. You know, if Stefano finds a lot of instants. It's not an auto win. 4 cards in hand now for Stefano. He's on 5. Counterspell in hand, Wheel of Fortune in hand. I would be tempted to play the wheel. Then again, you have double Vice against you. But he's on 5. He knows that he's going to take 2 more damage from the factory next turn if he doesn't do anything. And then he would be into Bolt range. Has a counterspell, of course, for a potential Bolt. That's also true. But a difficult moment in the game here for Stefano. I mean, do you want to wheel with double Vice against you? Of course not, but maybe you have to. You can wait 1 more turn, I guess. Which is already a big risk because you're going to go to 3, but you've got your Blue Blast and your Counterspell against a potential Bolt. And of course, we know that Oliver doesn't have a Lightning Bolt in hand, but remember, Oliver's drawing 2 cards a turn as well. So maybe he's going to find one. Yes, Stefano passes the turn, it seems. Or not. No, it's just Oliver here rearranging his cards. Stefano's still in the tank here. So 4 cards in hand for him. Blue Elemental Blast, Counterspell, City of Brass, and Wheel of Fortune. I mean, he only has bad options, to be honest. He can pass a turn, take 2 more, go to 3, which is a bad option. He could go Wheel, which is a bad option, but maybe you're going to have a monster hand and you'll get back into it. But then again, you're looking at double Vice against you. So it's super risky for Stefano either way. It's got like a catch-22. Doesn't really have a good decision to make here. Maybe that's why he's really in the tank. He is going to tap. He is going to go for the wheel play. And I get this. I get this play. Here we see the hand of Oliver only lands a balance. And I do believe that was a Time Twister there in hand. So both players going to draw 7 new cards. And Stefano also pointing at the factory saying I have to do something. Or else I'm going to die to the factory in a potential bolt. So it's going to draw 7. Okay, finds. What is... Ooh, there's a time walk as well. Do you want to take an extra turn though? This is risky. Yeah, exactly. Take a moment to think. He can tap a white for Savannah Lines. Also has a Chaos Orb in hand, but I think you just have to empty your hand, right? That's what you need to do. The problem is that Oliver also has an Ankh of Mishra. So, I mean, if you drop a land, you already take 2, go down to 3. Oliver now has, I believe, a Lightning Bolt in hand. No, that's an Atog, not a Lightning Bolt. Okay, so that's good news, at least for Stefano. I mean, he could play out Lion, play Time Walk, then he would have 5 cards in hand. It would take 2 damage, go to 3. I actually think that's the best line. Of course, I cannot see all the cards that he has in hand. I think you have to play super risky here, right? You cannot choose the safe route anymore. You're too low to do that, and you have to think of that double vice as well. You have to play towards your outs, as they say. Ooh, look at that Psionic Blast in hand for Oliver. Oh, that is a killer. That is a killer. So for Oliver, it's kind of waiting. I think he's got this game in the bag and the tournament in the bag. But let's first see what Stefano is going to do. Playing out the line, expecting him to play out the Time Walk here. Going to play the Time Walk. Now, in response, Oliver should play out the Psionic Blast. Put him on 1. But he's patiently going to wait. I think you want to play out the Psionic Blast on end step. Going to put Stefano on 1, and then he's going to die to the Black Vices because he's got 5 in hand. Untap, upkeep. Okay, in the upkeep still. Oh, look at that. He's going to sort his own line. I'm liking this line of plays. It's going to go up to 7. Not taking any damage from the Vices. That is very well played, Stefano. I didn't see that line. Well done. Not taking any damage. Drawing card number 5. Still has that Strip Mine in hand. Also has Chaos Orb in hand. Going to go here for Chaos Orb. Has a Lightning Bolt as well to deal with the factory if necessary. Yeah, so I guess Stefano's going to survive. I thought Oliver already had it with that Psionic Blast. But it didn't happen. Untap, upkeep, and draw here for Oliver. Oliver now, of course, having 8 cards in hand. Oh, finding another Bolt. Yeah, I think this game is over. Psionic Blast and Bolt. And then we have our new champion. Well, new champion, our returning champion, reigning champion, Oliver. Who's then going to win for the 2nd time in a row here at Viennageddon. We're not there yet, but we are there yet, if you know what I mean. With that hand, I don't think it can go wrong. Psionic Blast and Lightning Bolt. Of course, he's first going to attack probably with his factory. Then we're going to see that Lightning Bolt being fired off. So it's going to destroy the Mishra's factory here. In response, Psionic Blast on the life total of Stefano, who will drop to 3. And then he's going to play the Bolt, I assume. Is it going to happen here? Are we looking at the last seconds of the final? Is Oliver going to win it? Looks like Stefano's thinking of a response. Going to tap a blue. Okay, he's going to use a Chaos Orb in response. Wonder what he's going to do. He's going to flip on the factory. Not quite sure why he flips on the factory, to be honest. Didn't he play the Lightning Bolt on the factory already? A little bit confused, but maybe he played the Bolt on the life total. There's the flip. Very good flip. And gonna go to 3. And there's the deciding Bolt. Yeah. And I guess Stefano maybe knew already that this was the decider, so he just decided to, make a final flip. Finishing the tournament off in style with that flip, Stefano. I like it, I like it, I like it. And yeah, we see Oliver here winning the game, winning the match, winning the tournament. Congratulations, you're the winner of Viennageddon 2025. And that was it for this year. And before I go, I would just like to thank the Lions of Austria for their hospitality and of course 341 Trading as well. It's been an absolute joy to play here as well, and of course to stream and make these videos for you guys afterwards. It's such a great atmosphere. I mean, going to Viennageddon is really something that I can recommend to every old school player. It's just a really cool tournament. Here you can see me, by the way, with Oliver. We also played against each other at the tournament. And yeah, Oliver won, but okay, that can happen. And here we see the prize card, by the way, the Armageddon, again going to Oliver. And in this picture, we see the runner-up Stefano next to Oliver, and also with Rolf, the head of the Lions of Austria. So thanks again, guys, for inviting me over. It's been an absolute blast, and I'm already looking forward to next year. Now, before you go, please take a moment to like, share, and comment. All these things are free and really help the channel move forward. Talking about moving forward, you can also, of course, become a member, a patron of Timmy Talks. Check out patreon.com/Timmy Talks for all the information.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning, put him in the longboat until he's sober, put him in the longboat until he's sober, put him in the longboat until he's sober. Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. She rises early in the morning. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Early in the morning. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises early in the morning. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Put him in the scout to the husband, son. Put him in the scout to the husband, son. Put him in the scout to the husband, son. Early in the morning, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises early in the morning.
Igitus figitus sumba kazik.